with that as a vision, we have been working on accomplishing 3 goals, and one is to have an impact on the world, create a healthcare world, and the number of lives we touch each year is something we track and we care deeply about. Second is we're trying to always influence the stakeholders we have. And yes, we all have shareholders, but much in the spirit of this group, we know now we have many stakeholders throughout the world and throughout the United States. And finally, our third goal is to make sure that our 50,000 associates that we have at Quest Diagnostic are inspired every day. And so we've always kept those 3 goals in front of us, even before the pandemic, to think about where we're going and how we're headed. Today, I just got the statistic, the country has done over 350 million tests. So far exceeded what we ever thought we would do. And we had to make investments, and we weren't certain what was going to happen. You know, we were making investments and doing the right thing for the country by doing the right thing so we could isolate people, we could identify people in beds, and we could do the right thing in managing this pandemic. So there was a leap of faith. And at the same time, the backdrop of all this is our base business, what was going on in healthcare. We were down by 50%, no different what's happening with physician systems and hospital systems. And so we had to bring down our workforce. We were in the second quarter, we're worried about making payroll, frankly, in the month of April and May. And so we had to look at our cash position, and we had to bring down our workforce. And so we asked our employees to take, some actions personally. At the same time, we're asking them to bring up this testing as quickly as we've ever done it. So there was this leap of faith by doing the right thing, by doing good, that we will do well. And it's just something that I think we need to keep on responding to, because we're not out of this. We're still in the middle of the pandemic, and we've got work to do in front of us. And we need to continue to react quickly, and we need to keep on doing the right thing.
We started with, basic guiding principles that guided us throughout the entire year and continue to guide us today. And they were very focused on addressing our customers and our employees, both their physical, their emotional, their financial needs, at a time when people were feeling most vulnerable and uncertain about the future. As an organization, our teams really rose to the occasion. And what we learned was that, people can play different roles and really step up to doing new and different things.
Just to give you a little context, we've been involved in what's called today stakeholder capitalism for 40 years. Of course, the concept wasn't coined 40 years ago. We have our 5 constituents, our suppliers, our customers, our team, our investors, and society in general. And we've worked to balance the needs of the 5 constituents and set our real parameters 40 years ago, that paid off in our ability to advance the ball during COVID. In 2015, we co-founded together with BD the Pandemic Supply Chain Network at the World Economic Forum alongside Gavi and CEPI. I wish we'd gotten more attention earlier on, and now we have the attention of the world. The Pandemic Supply Chain Network is not in good shape. We have masks, we have gloves, but the system is not going to sustain another emergency. We need to work on this as a society. Of course, we work with the Strategic National Supply Chain, the Department of Defense, FEMA, etc. All of these were foundations that we had set years ago. The big thing was for us to bring rapid point-of-care tests to market. We established a group, the T4T group, which worked on finding ways to bring tests to physicians and dentists in their offices. And we are working and have been working over the last 6 months or so with minority coalitions, including the Black Coalition Against COVID, and professional societies to find ways to ensure that professional office-based practitioners in the communities are receiving adequate PPE tests and now the vaccine. So You asked about authenticity. I think the bottom line is we laid our framework down many, many years ago, and that gave us the ability to make progress during this time to satisfy or to work towards satisfying our customers' needs. And our customers, as I said, the physicians of this country, the dentists of this country were really in a challenged position to receive these products, and we were able to support the government in many respects. The bottom line is lay your groundwork. Authenticity comes with many years of engagement, and then you're in a position to help. So I'll leave it at that.
Just reflecting on the last year and recognizing that I think over this last year, we've advanced our purpose more over the last 12 months than probably any time in our history. And that's probably something many organizations here on the phone would reflect and see true. As we think about doing things differently, developing our point of care rapid test that, again, we did in 3 months, which normally takes us 3 years, really gave us some lessons that we're looking to make sure stick with the organization for the years to come. And as we really boiled them down, there's kind of 3 core principles and lessons that we learned and that we're making sure we never forget as we go forward. And the first of that is an extremely clear and a bold mission on what we're trying to achieve. So I very clearly can remember the exact meeting that we all got in a room with the business team, our life science team, and said, okay, we've got this capability to develop rapid tests. There's a tremendous unmet need. What do we want to try to do? And it wasn't just around develop the test. It was, we want to do this not in 3 years, not 3 years. Can we do it in 90 days? Which the team took on the challenge. I think the second thing we did was we made it very clear that this was not a life science initiative. That's one of our 3 segments, but this is a company priority. And we took the best talent from every corner of the organization, literally every business across the company, whether or not they had any knowledge of diagnostics, we took their talent and we put them on this program. We're asking the teams throughout this to just do tremendous things. And one of I think the best things that we did was making sure that all the risks that came with that were taken from the team and put on the leadership.
We did a tabletop exercise on January 8th about a virus that was contagious, which was really prescient. And we set up all the different scenarios. And one thing we noted in this particular tabletop exercise, that the virus could be transmitted by asymptomatic individuals. And that changed the whole context of the way of the behavior. So by January 26th, when we were hearing about the reports of how contagious it was, we set up a situation room. And again, this was modeled from Sandy, and we had a lot of scar tissue. And we were rapidly doing 7-day-a-week meetings, AM and PM. And one of the points about our structure, and I think function follows structure, and our structure is a totally integrated academic medical center. We have a very robust electronic health record, et cetera. And we were able to share anything we saw across all of our sites.
We also learned as an organization, making sure that we give the latitude to lead to our leaders and letting them make decisions on the front lines and letting them do what they thought was right. And that, that has served us well, not only in testing, but as we've been rolling out vaccines. And, I said to Ed, determined was the word I would use, but I would also say our organization is proud. And we've been really proud of what we've been doing to combat the pandemic. And, I've been doing, my leading up to becoming the CEO, I've done a lot of listening tours. And one of the things I've heard most from our colleagues is how proud they are of the impact that we're having on the organization.
It really is about having the metrics and learning from your mistakes. And it's a very iterative process. One of the hardest things about COVID, and it's a lesson you learn over and over, you don't know what you don't know. So the ability to recognize your mistakes early, to learn from your mistakes, and to move forward actually was instrumental in our outcomes.
So we have to understand that the scars, the mental scars of this period will last for a long time. Yes, the economic scars will be there, it's obvious, but the mental impact on people who were quarantined, who had pressure day in and day out on providing product to frontline workers, the shortages, the dealings every day with different challenges in the supply chain, I think will be felt for a long time. And I think we'll be able to deal with it, but we need to be aware of it.
One of my top priorities culturally was creating a broader speak up culture. And so beyond COVID, the big thing for me that made a lasting impression on the company this past year was racial injustice. And I think this year certainly is a year that I saw, and will never step back from it, of a year where BD started taking a much more public position on racial and just general injustice issues, things that were beyond specific medical specific topics. We started taking a much more public view on. And even when we didn't know what the right answer was, we recognized very publicly, this isn't right, and we're going to be working to make the situation better. I think in that same spirit, we connected that to our speak up, right? We're going to speak up when we see an issue that's not right outside, and we expect when you see an issue that's not right inside, you're going to continue to speak up until you see it addressed. And I think those, from that spirit of authenticity, it's important, again, if you want people speaking up in an organization when they see something that's wrong, making sure that they see their leaders doing it both inside the organization, but when there's a social issue also, standing up and speaking against those.
We are wiser for the storm, ready to set a new course, creating new routes to new adventures, to new uncharted ports, wiser and stronger for the test and ready for the deluge, which will come. We're not sure where it's coming, but there will be another deluge. And very importantly, CHL. And I think that you've seen from people who've been involved with CHL for many years, that it has a lasting effect. It's always reinventing itself. It's always relevant. We're not sure what the next deluge is, the next black swan, but there's one coming. And that's not the only reason to do this, but I think as we continue to build and grow our purpose-driven and ambition-driven organizations, rest assured that CHL is here to help in new and different and exciting ways. Again, I'm very excited about our board. The board is going to be expanding. Doug has taken time out of an extraordinarily busy schedule to help us through. We're rebuilding on a very, very strong foundation, and we look forward to working with you, our members. And please, we'll be reaching out to you. You'll be reaching out to us because this is a member-driven organization. We like to listen to the members. We like to be responsive to your needs. You are building great institutions, and we're here to help. And finally, 160 years ago this month, I have this pasted on my desk. Though passion may have strained, it must not break our bonds of affection. The mystic chords will swell when again touched, as surely they will be by the better angels of our nature. So said Abraham Lincoln. Great session. Thank you all for joining us. We will be in touch, here to help.